everybody, and welcome to another episode of Never Seen It. My name is Trent. I'm sitting here with Betsy.
Hi, Trent.
If you did not know, this is a podcast about movies that we have not seen yet, and we have brought today a banger of an episode because, Betsy, we are covering a movie that neither of us have ever watched. And as I said in our last episode, we have a distinct lack of 80s and 90s action movies that we have covered this year. And when we have done them in the past, Betsy, we have, I would say, enjoyed the vast majority of them anyway. Betsy, today we're going to be covering the movie Cobra from 1986. Now, I would be lying to you if I said I really knew anything about the movie except for everything that I could imply by the poster and like the tagline on the poster.
Trent, he's a cop who doesn't play by the rules.
Yeah. Stop me if you've heard this before.
That's what I assume this movie is. Literally,
it's exactly that.
When we were talking about covering an action movie and this one came up in conversation, the only reason you and I even know this movie exists is because a podcast you follow has a poster of the movie Cobra on the wall of their office, or at least they used to.
When they had an office, it was very prominent, and based on their senses of humor, I very much am looking forward to watching this movie for the first time. So, of course, we have to ask the question, what do you know specifically about Cobra?
I know that Sylvester Stallone is in it.
just gonna let that silence be in there when I do the editing process.
Speak volumes. No, genuinely, it's one of the many movies he was making of this variety in the 80s and 90s. It's one of the worst ones, as I understand it, based on the Rotten Tomatoes score and the trailer that we watched.
Oh, yes.
But if you're into dumb action movies and just shitting on the whole concept and you just want to have fun watching something, this seems to be one that would fit the bill.
Yeah, like I said in previous episodes, we had a couple of slots here at the end of July before we start our next series next month, which we will announce at the end of the episode, of course. And we've been covering some kind of headier topics on some episodes in the recent past, so what better time than now to cover a movie like this? Betsy, I don't really know anything more than you, and the fact that, yes, he is a cop who doesn't play by the rules, he gets results, and all of the other 80s and 90s cliches that you could say about a guy like this. So, with that, we're going to go and watch Cobra from 1986. Boy, oh boy, we're going to be right back. And we have returned from Cobra. Betsy, if our audience doesn't know, we do an award show at the end of the year just to kind of talk about all of the movies that we cover for the show, and we come up with stupid categories. And sometimes I have to pull myself back from creating a category just for one movie because I'm creating it because I want it to win. But if I were to create a category that has something to do with this movie, I would say Stupidest Movie Award or whatever the hell it is. Holy shit. Where are you sitting on this one? Because I think that kind of says it.
Trent, Cobra is in equal measure the longest 88 minutes of my entire life.
Yep.
It is a convoluted, confusing mess. But it is also the greatest movie of 1986.
I had such a great time watching this goddamn thing.
When you're reading about the movie and some of the changes that had to be made, because this was initially going to be an X-rated movie.
Oh, yes.
It was like hyper violent. And then combined with the fact that in 1986, it was going up against the biggest summer blockbuster, Top Gun. They wanted people to go and see this movie and make it successful, so they just cut like a half an hour from the movie.
Plus, yeah.
And it makes the movie almost incomprehensible. Like, you are introduced to this gang with axes, banging their axes together, and basically at no point in this movie is it ever explained what is up with these bad guys. Why are they just randomly killing people? They barely explain it at the end of the movie.
Yep.
And I still don't understand the motivation.
We are made to believe that there is this overarching goal that this underground axe gang has, but really, they're all just fucking nuts. They think they are the alphas and they're out there to kill all of the betas, to put it into modern language, I guess. And of course, it begins like every other 80s movie or 80s action movie does. It starts off by scaring the white people, because that's kind of how these books and these other movies were made in the 80s and 90s. It was all about escape to the suburbs. All of the white people, it's the white flight that everybody was talking about back in the era, where white people from the urban areas escaped to the suburbs because they were clean, they didn't have any crime because nobody fucking lived there yet.
And the city is unlivable and dirty and dangerous.
Yeah.
And we need a real cop to clean up these streets.
So we get these criminals coming in here with zero, and I'm talking fucking zero motive behind their killing sprees. The first scene that we see is this fucking madman going into a grocery store in this very white neighborhood, walking in there with a trench coat, shooting his shotgun at the produce section.
And then when he gets taken out, he apparently also had a bomb.
I guess,
like,
sure.
in his hand, he was holding a trigger, was he not? They don't explain it. All of a sudden,
no, they don't even show the bomb.
All of a sudden, he's dead, and he's got something in his hand, and Cobra is examining it, what looks like a trigger for a bomb. We've never addressed a bomb. There was no bomb.
I know what a bomb trigger looks like. We just watched Speed for the second time just a week or so ago.
But this is clearly something where it doesn't matter. We're not going to spend time on the bomb.
You just move on. Go on to the next case.
Yeah, all we need to know is who Cobra is and how he is as a cop. The cops can't get this job done. All right, call in the Cobra.
Even the SWAT team that comes in, they're trying to negotiate. Like, the hostage negotiator comes in there on the bullhorn saying, "We just want to talk to you. We're here to help you. We're not going to try to hurt you." But then the head guy, I can't think of off the top of my head where else I've seen this guy, but the boss man comes in and says, "Call the Cobra."
But you just said they called the SWAT team. There is no SWAT team. He is the SWAT team. He is just a guy who goes in and fucks shit up. They just let him off his leash because reasons. And you wonder why there's this generation of people that's like, we need to take things into our own hands. The cops aren't useful. We need that kind of a cop.
Or they want to empower police. They have it in their minds that this pussy reporter that is asking all these questions at the end of this grocery store scene, saying that man had rights. He's not just an animal. You need to be able to arrest him and put him in jail, but punish him that way. When, most people, especially even these days, would say, yeah, that guy's a pussy. How dare you give rights to criminals? Well, if you've ever read the Constitution, everybody is entitled to the same fucking rights.
I'm pretty sure in the universe of Cobra, though, the Constitution does not exist. At least it doesn't to Marion Cobretti.
Yeah. And of course, this is 1986. The LAPD, I'm sure, had a reputation, at least amongst its residents, but it wasn't under the microscope yet. So you look at a movie like this in 2025 of all years, and you have to look at it with a different perspective because, yeah, I feel like the people who wanted to go and see a movie like Cobra and the people who like a movie, or a guy, let's say, like Cobra, that would be their exact feeling. Oh yeah, a guy with a gun trying to shoot up a place. Yeah, just fucking shoot him. You don't need to arrest him. You don't need to put him in front of a judge or a jury or a trial.
We don't need due process.
Nothing. So of course, I would say a role like this works perfectly with Sylvester Stallone based on what I know about other stuff. But Betsy, we watched Copland a couple of years ago, and that movie gets a bad rap. That movie is not bad. But in that movie, he is a cop trying to take down other dirty cops. He's not trying to, but he discovers that other cops are bad.
And he is a good cop, so he's going to do what he has to do.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know if he was subconsciously or even consciously thinking, oh shit, I've done a lot of these other movies where cops are actually bad or they're doing things that you really should not do. Maybe I need to have a different perspective on this entire thing, but I don't know.
Didn't write Copland. Let's just say this. But I do want to point out, you just mentioned Copland, which was 1997. This movie was 1986. And 10 years before this, he made Rocky. So 1976, he writes Rocky and gets nominated for multiple Academy Awards for writing and for acting. 10 years later, Cobra. And then 10 years after that, he's in Copland. He didn't write it, as I said, but these are such three distinct parts of his career that we have now talked about on this podcast. It is a bizarre trajectory for this man. And you know he has this entire swath of other movies like Cobra. We've never done Rambo. We've never seen any of the Rambo movies.
I saw First Blood, I think most of it back in the 90s.
And I've not seen any of it. But then, like, when we get to the 90s, we get Cliffhanger and we got Demolition Man, which we also did on the show.
Yep.
But he gets kind of in this groove of, I'm going to make these kinds of movies. And the fact that he adapted Cobra, like, he didn't come up with the concept.
No.
It's based off of a book. But he wrote this movie. And it feels like there's still threads of serious movie maker Sylvester Stallone from his Rocky years, because Cobra takes itself so seriously at different points of the film.
Betsy, it takes itself deadly seriously.
To the point where I was thinking, is this a fucking horror movie? The way it is written, the way it is acted, the way it is
shot.
filmed, it is got such dramatic tonal shifts, but then at the end of the movie, there's like this fun little 80s pop number as he rides off into the sunset. I was all over the place the entire movie. But that's what I kept coming back to, was just Sylvester Stallone wrote this movie and was like, I am the greatest author who has ever existed.
But Betsy, you have to look at it a little bit closer than just that, because I don't know if this was him that wrote some of these lines or if it came directly out of the book, but I'm just going to run down some of the quotes I pulled from here. First of all, when he's in the grocery store and he's confronting the bad guy in there, the bad guy is saying, I'm going to kill them all. I'm going to shoot this chick. And he responds, go ahead. I don't shop here. Then, again, going back and forth with the bad guy, he says, you're the disease and I'm the cure. Because, again, it's the same kind of deal as even a RoboCop that is completely campy. You have this attitude about you in this era between the 70s and the 80s that cops need to come in here and clean up the scum. And it's only police officers and law enforcement that can do such a thing, much like what happened in New York City with Rudy Giuliani coming in as the prosecutor trying to take down the mob and whatnot. It's only police officers that can do such a thing, and the citizenry wants to let cops just run rampant, basically. So again, I'm going to keep on coming back to this notion that cops are the ones that have to come and solve all of our problems.
Except the cops aren't getting the job done. That's the problem with Cobra.
Yeah.
He is on what they call the zombie team, the zombie
squad, yeah.
Basically, he is there to do the job nobody else wants to do.
That no other cop wants to do.
No other cop wants to do. But the way they portray it, it's not that the cops don't want to do it, it's that they can't get it done.
Yeah, because, again, the overarching plot here, if you want to call it that, is that there's this night slasher, because, hey, you have to give it a catchy name. The night slasher has so far murdered 16 people.
And there's no pattern.
And there's no pattern whatsoever. Up to this point, the cops got nothing. They got no suspects. They got no evidence. They got nothing except victims. So my question here, if Cobra is the guy that they call to take care of situations that they normally can't do, why then haven't they called him about the night slasher yet? Because 16 murders, that's a lot.
Because he's not that kind of cop. He's the guy who will kick down the door and shoot people and stab people and get the situation resolved.
They called him about this eventually.
Eventually they do, because there's other circumstances around it. Like, he finds out about the case because he's eating pizza in his apartment, hears about it on TV, and decides he wants to be involved.
After
and
the Toys R Us
shows
commercial.
up. Yeah, he just shows up and says, I want to be involved. I'm involving myself.
Right.
And they try to get rid of him because he's not a serious cop. He is not a serious detective doing serious detective work. And the other two guys are just like, you get out of here, Cabretti. We don't need you and your energy. You'll just screw things up. And I don't even remember what the trigger was for them to say, all right, get on board. It's basically, I think, back channel stuff. They want him to go to the streets and find all his contacts and get down and dirty and find out what's going on, because we can't do it.
The zombie squad apparently is based on a real thing that happened in Belgium, where a squad of police officers would roam the streets of Belgium looking for troublemakers in the middle of the night and allowing the cops to do what they may the way they want to do it. And yeah, I don't really remember what the trigger was either. I don't remember what caused him to be involved in this or wanting to be involved, other than the fact that the regular cops here can't get the job done and he keeps hearing about it on the news.
And then once he starts actually making headway, he's an army of one. He doesn't actually tell the cops any of the information he gets.
No.
Like, we literally have a witness, Brigitte Nelson, when she shows up, he says, oh, she knows who these people are. She saw them on the side of the road.
Right.
He doesn't give any of that information to the other cops because he's like, fuck them. I'll do it myself.
Yeah, we have a witness. We have a description.
She can identify this guy. We have a lead. We have a solid lead. But instead of taking it to the rest of the team, he goes back to his apartment with his books of photos and his computer database, and he's going to identify who this person is.
When in the real world, yeah, you would create some kind of fucking task force to go after this guy. But at the same time, this gang is everywhere. It's like fucking statewide. When they have the final scene, the final shootout, there's guys who are going up to the local sheriffs and pushing them back into the buildings as they're going after Cobra.
In this seemingly abandoned town. Like,
Sure.
they're just, everyone's running for the hills. There's maybe 15 people there. They shove them all out of the way, and then they burn the town to the ground.
How many people are in this goddamn gang?
A lot. They have no borders. Like, they don't explain how many there are, why they are a group. They are concerned enough about this woman who maybe knows something that they are going to kill her. And they spend the whole movie pursuing her from that moment to the end of the film.
But Betsy, just to come back to my quotes here, murder is against the law. You can't do that.
Is that a quote?
When he's confronting the bad guy at the very end of the movie, he's got the gun laser on his knife, and he says, "You're not going to kill me because you're a cop. You have to take me in. Murder is against the law." And he keeps on going on about, the court is civilized, and Cobra has this comeback saying, "I'm not civilized. This is where the law stops and I start."
He also, in the same speech, says, "We are the future." And Cobra says, "No, you're history."
Your history.
The whole movie. It's just shit like this.
This is fucking third grade reading material. And I can't say that I didn't love every fucking second of it.
Because here's the thing. We're saying all these plot holes, and I attribute a lot of that to the fact they cut out half an hour from this movie. And it's badly written, but you want a cheesy, badly written, quippy kind of effect
You
in
want
an
the good
action
guy
movie.
to go after the bad guy and win at the end and get the girl. That's what you want when you come to a movie like this.
Yeah, you want him to say something. It's the thing in Hot Fuzz where he's watched too many action movies. He's like, "Did you say something really cool? Like, chill out." You know?
Yeah.
It's that thing. They have seen so many of these movies. That's me. I have seen so many of these movies. I want him to speak in stupid little one-liners. Why? 'Cause it's funny. Nobody in real life would tell a guy you have the right to remain silent and then light him on fire.
Yeah.
No one would say that. But in Cobra, I was all here for it.
He also goes up to that one guy who's smoking in front of his car. He goes up to him and says, "You know that's bad for your health, right?" He says, "What?" And Cobra puts his hand up to his face and kind of mushes it up a little bit and grabs the cigarette away and throws it away, saying, "Me."
He is very extra in all things.
And speaking of being extra, he grabs his fucking undershirt and rips it down for no apparent reason. What the hell was that all about? But, man, all of these questions and more will be asked and maybe answered right after this break for a word from our sponsor. We'll be right back.
Feeling run down, lethargic, a little bloated?
Yes. Oh, God, yes.
Well, have I got the prescription for you?
Oh, no, not another pill. I take enough of those that I find in the dumpster behind the Burger King.
Oh no, it's better than any dumpster pills. It's patreon.com/neverseenitpod.
I'm interested. Tell me more.
It's premium content from those jokers at Never Seen It. They have 4 other weekly shows, plus bonuses.
I've heard of those guys. They're like super talented and funny.
And sexy. Don't forget sexy.
Oh, then I'll definitely check them out. Thanks, disembodied voice.
Anytime.
Betsy, I think our listeners are going to be best served if we were to just start talking about some of our favorite moments, because there's a lot of them here. Let's not bog ourselves down with plot, because the movie really didn't.
There's hardly a plot at all. And what there is, they don't go into detail about, they don't explain until literally the end of the movie. And even then, I'm still not really sure what the plot was.
And even, Betsy, the plot isn't taken care of because the gang out there is still a threat. He only killed like the 2 main people that we're introduced to anyway. And there's probably hundreds more, so him going off into the sunset isn't even really a satisfying ending either. But Betsy, why don't you go ahead with some moments here that we haven't talked about yet?
So pretty much the entire opening sequence when they say call the Cobra and he shows up driving this like 50s roadster. It's like a drag racing car that literally has nitrous oxide in it.
It is a 1950 Mercury that is souped up with nitrous.
And the license plate says awesome AWSOM 50.
Yeah,
awesome 50.
50 because it's a 1950.
And during this sequence, when he is introduced, he's got these reflective aviator sunglasses.
Oh, they're so great.
And he's, got a matchstick in his mouth. And when he goes into this store, he is just like cool as a cucumber, sneaking around, running around, getting where he needs to go. And when he finally reaches the guy, he appears somehow from inside a freezer. There's no real explanation how he got back there and out the door, but he just opens the door and smoke rolls out and he's standing in the light with his gun and he's just like, freeze!
Most of the time, freezers have one door that is only accessible by like employees.
There's an indoor and it is also the outdoor. You can't sneak around the back of a freezer. There's no possible way Cobra was able to make this entrance except that they wanted to look cool.
Speaking of looking cool, Betsy, he comes around this corner. It's the shot where it's this Pepsi advertisement thing where it looks like it's being poured into a cup. He grabs a can of Coors, cracks it open, and takes a swig because he's going to throw it down there for him to shoot at.
We also needed to make sure to get a lot of gratuitous product placement throughout the film.
It's disgusting. We have all of the Pepsi stuff in here. We have the Coors. We have a Coca-Cola. There's even an RC Cola cooler at that rest stop where she's eating French fries.
And they're not subtle about the giant neon Pepsi sign that's right outside his apartment.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you even see there was a variety of Pepsi that isn't around anymore?
Yeah, they had Pepsi free in the
Pepsi
grocery
free,
store.
That's right.
I'm looking at the background when I should be paying attention to this dumb action movie.
I want to go back and look at all the fucking prices.
Okay, another moment that I was just like, wait, what the fuck is happening here? When we are kind of introduced to Brigitte Nelson, she's driving her car. And then we are introduced to her more thoroughly later.
Yep.
But I didn't make the connection that this was the same person because there is a song playing. It's Sylvester Stallone has gotten the go-ahead to go to the streets and do his dirty investigative work.
Yeah, he's out there with his partner talking up the street people.
But there is an original song playing that was composed for this movie, and the editing here is so weird because it's like doon doon, then the third shot is a fucking robot face, and you're like, wait, what's with the fucking robot?
Betsy.
And this goes on and on for like a full minute, and there's just a model having a photo shoot.
Betsy, the thing I wrote down is music video, montage, investigation, photo shoot.
That is exactly.
That is what that sequence was.
That is exactly what it is. But it makes no sense when it's introduced because I've never seen this woman, presumably, in my life. I have no idea who this is.
No.
Why is there a model having a photo shoot?
She's all done up with her hair and her outfit, and there's robots and a photographer, and what the fuck? We're going back to Sylvester Stallone.
And you only saw her, and you only saw her in the car for just a second, long enough to see her face. They didn't introduce her. She's just woman in car who drove away. She saw the murder, but didn't know that's what she was seeing.
And she escaped, yeah.
And she escaped. We don't see her for 10 minutes. Then we see her in this photo shoot. And you were wise enough to say, oh, unless it's that same woman.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. But the way it is edited together, it just feels like I'm looking at a robot for no reason.
A lot of robots. But, you know, when you make a movie, you have to introduce things. They say as she's escaping from the scene of the crime, you know, get her license plate. Well, why would criminals want to try to get somebody's license plate? Well, we see a little bit later, there's somebody looking up that license plate, and it's the woman who goes up to the window of the first person that they kill.
Because plot twist, she's a cop.
Yeah, there's an inside woman in this case. So from that, you can infer that they're going to try to go after this person, look up what her deal is. I have no idea how they would find out that she has a fucking photo shoot.
I think they're just tracking the car. They find where the car is, or they find where she lives and follow her from her house and just wait for an opportunity.
Okay,
but
fine.
This is all stuff they don't show us.
Fine.
So the way it feels to us is they get her license plate, the cop finds her, and then they wait outside of the photo shoot to kill her.
As she's trying to dismiss this really creeper photographer who is just basically trying to say, you know, why don't we sleep together? I might help you in your career.
Sleep your way to the top, baby.
I'm not trying to get anything. This is all for you. You know, because it's 1986. I mean, 2025. I mean,
nothing like that ever happens
world.
Again. Never.
Yeah. But there's also this scene here, before we get out of this scene, where the photographer gets axed to death. There's this random guy in a suit who also gets axed to death. And the security guard, who's being a nice guy to bring her bag that she left behind, he comes down to the bottom of the elevator. He starts shooting at the van, but the van plows right the fuck into him. Oh, that was so great.
The situation escalated quickly.
Yeah.
And then she just gets away because the cops
I
are
don't
coming.
know how she got away.
She like jumped down because it's in a parking ramp, and you know how it kind of overlaps the next level. She like squeezed through and got down. But again, we don't see it happen.
No.
We just think she's hiding next to a wall or something, and she's going to be discovered any moment. But she keeps managing to get away throughout this entire movie.
Well, then let's jump ahead to when she's in the hospital, and the guy, the real bad guy, he dyes his hair because the cop lady knows that she's in custody and they're taking care of her at the hospital, and the fact that she gave a description of you. So dye your hair and look different.
And I'm sorry, but this guy has the most memorable, distinct face.
He has quite distinctive features.
Once you have seen him, I don't think dyeing his hair is the thing that's going to change his appearance.
Yeah, but we don't matter with that. He goes in and kills this janitor guy, takes his clothes and starts mopping, or it takes the mop up to where the floor is, I guess, and goes after her. But I think, isn't she like in the bathroom or something when he shows up?
Yeah, he knows which room she's in because the cop on the inside has given him the intel.
And she can't sleep.
And she can't sleep, so she's basically gets out of bed, and she happens to be in the bathroom when this guy shows up.
Right, and this is where the movie turns into a goddamn horror movie because it goes completely silent. He's banging and banging and banging on the door, but of course it's a hospital bathroom door. It's not going to be made of steel. So as everything kind of fades out of here, it goes completely silent, And that's when the knife comes through the fucking door. And she starts screaming at him, why are you doing this? What did I do?
But even before that, like, he's got rubber gloves on and he's killed a couple people and his hand is all bloody.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very dark and it's slow and the music is very creepy. And he's walking down the hallway and then is like stabbing through this door and she's just screaming and crying. If you leaned into this, because it's a movie about serial killers.
Yeah.
If he had made some tweaks and not been such an egomaniac about being Sylvester Stallone literally no one was allowed to talk to Sylvester Stallone on set. He was such a diva about this. If he had been able to let some of that go, he could have actually made this movie to be really effective in like a horror genre, like literally lean into this is a serial killer. It's really intense. I'm going to take a back seat. I get to be the hero, but I'm going to let the scary business be front and center. Because this part of the movie is genuinely good. Like, Brigitte Nelson, she is like screaming and crying and running and, you know, smashing the fire alarms to get everybody to get there and save her ass, basically.
Yeah, and she's not just a damsel in distress.
No.
She's smart.
She's trying to figure it out on her own. She doesn't just need to run around screaming and then be saved. It's not like that at all. And most of the time, they're just a tall bimbo flying around the hospital.
Well, she is quite tall.
She is quite tall. And there's other moments like this in the movie, like the big finale scene where he confronts him. He catches up to him. All hope seems lost. He's fighting with the bad guys. It seems like the kind of final confrontation with the bad guy, with the big boss. If this were a real horror movie, this would have been a great finale.
It's a great setting for something like that, too, because think about the end of Terminator 2. It occurs in the same kind of industrial plant. There's fucking molten lava coming out everywhere. It looks cool, and they use this environment to its fullest potential. Betsy, as soon as I saw those hooks going around that room, I knew what the end of this movie was going to be. At least the end of the bad guy, anyway.
But he leans into all of those instincts to make Sylvester Stallone look cool.
Yeah, to make the movie a cool action movie.
And make quippy lines and have a love scene with this woman. We focus so much on all of that it really detracts from the rest of the movie because there are moments where this movie is weirdly good. Like, truly. And I don't know why that happened. Because the movie is kind of terrible.
Yeah, overall, the movie is bad, but there are some moments here that are fucking scream out loud great, especially all of the chase scenes through LA.
They're over the top in a perfect way.
Probably the best sequence in that first chase scene is when Cobra and the girl are in the car going really fast. He's ahead of him, but they're shooting him from behind. He says, hang on, and he flips the fucking car around, shoots him a bunch. The truck blows up, and he turns it back around.
And the director of the movie knows enough about directing that he is doing this in a really, really effective way.
Yeah.
But you read something interesting now that I've touched on the director. You said something about, again, Sylvester Stallone and his need to be deeply involved in this project that he has created, that he kind of took over directing at some points.
Yeah, the moments where the director was not on site, Sylvester Stallone was literally directing the movie himself. He was giving direction to actors. He was giving direction to, lighting people and stunt people and just taking over the production of the movie. So like you said, when no one was allowed to come up to Sylvester Stallone to talk to him about anything, that's the attitude that he was coming in here.
And that's the reason it makes it a bad movie, which is really unfortunate because, as I'm saying, it's not a bad idea. Like, yes, we are playing up the fears that you're talking about in 1980s America, and this guy is an egomaniac who has to be the boss. He has to be the hero. That's the bullshit that you get in an action movie. If he had just found a way to demonstrate some restraint, we already know he can do it. He wrote Rocky. Rocky is a great movie. So I know it's within him somewhere to take Cobra, which existed. It existed as a book.
I think that's the difference. Because it came from somebody else's mind, he had to put his own spin on it. but the existing bones also still needed to be there.
But he followed all the wrong instincts.
Yeah.
All the good stuff in this movie, I feel like, is not about Sylvester Stallone. As I said, it's how the director is shooting this. And I'm not going to give him enough credit because I don't know which parts he actually claims that he directed.
I have no idea.
But I'm going to say the direction is really good and the score is really good.
Surprisingly great.
Though you and I both did a serious double take at the beginning of the movie when the credits are going through and it says music composed and performed by Sylvester Levy or Levy. I don't know how it's pronounced, but you and I saw Sylvester and went, whoa.
Wait, what?
Hold on. Different person. It's a different person.
We had to do a double take.
But it's that primo 1980s synth orchestration. I don't know what genre you would call this. Just 80s action movie music.
Yeah, there's even a moment here. I think it's both moments where he's going home for the night. They play the same song. Also, did you notice that some of the lyrics were matching up with what the characters were doing? One of them was when the bad guy is sharpening his blade, and the lyrics said something about sharpening a fucking blade.
It's like they did that on purpose. It's like they wrote the songs after the movie was already out.
Same thing about when he goes into his apartment for the first time. Like it is narrating what he is doing as he is going through his apartment to get, okay, I have to say this, to get a single slice of pizza out of his refrigerator along with a carton of eggs, but it's not actually eggs. He takes this pizza, picks it up, and slices off a piece of the pizza with scissors. Betsy, I have heard of this idea of slicing pizza with like kitchen shears. What is your stance about that? What is your stance about cutting pizza with scissors?
I don't know what the point of this scene is what I'm more concerned about because, you know, use your scissors if you want to. I don't really give a fuck.
Oh, come on.
It's a better way to do it sometimes. That's what kitchen shears are for. They're sharp. A lot of people just cut like frozen pizzas that way.
Totally.
Some people cut frozen pizzas with the scissors before they cook it because then it's already done. Okay, so it's not that weird an idea. What's weird is this man who has one single piece of pizza cuts the tip, the triangle tip off, leaving the crust, but not just the crust. I would understand if it was just the crust. No, it's half of the pizza, the cheesy center.
Just the tip.
I'm going to leave that one alone. And that's all he has in his fridge, apparently, and in the carton of eggs, gun cleaning equipment. So maybe there's no big money in his way of doing cop work.
I don't think so.
Because all he has is one slice of pizza, and he's saving some of it for later.
That's such a great thought. That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you, Betsy. But I have another question. Let's go forward in time here to the final kind of shootout scene where he gets into the back of the truck and she's in the driver's seat and they're driving along. All of these fucking motorcycle criminals are chasing them. None of them are shooting at this truck as they're going along. He's up there with his fucking machine gun, taking everybody out as they're approaching. Nobody here in the gang has a gun. Or did they just bring their fucking axes with them? Is that the problem?
I mean, they don't really seem to prefer that form of killing. They use knives, they use axes. That's kind of it. Nobody else really has a gun until that last shootout.
They do have guns when they're in front of the motel.
Okay, well, let me say this then. Because the people in front of the motel do have guns, he killed most of them. So maybe the ones
did, yes.
Maybe the ones chasing him are the ones that do not have guns.
They have the budget for axes, for motorcycles, and a few guns, but not for everybody. You got to get your own. This is California.
This is a fairly small operation. We have not reached a budget for guns for everyone just yet.
It's BYOG. Bring your own gun.
OG, which is why some people are BYOK, your knives, or BYOA. Mostly it's BYOA.
I think we're going down the wrong path here, Betsy. All right.
You asked the question,
I know. But speaking of guns, we have to talk about the sexy scene, Betsy. But it's not when they actually have sex. It is when he is opening up all of his cases to get armed up for the impending battle. And literally, he's taking out military-class fragmentation grenades. Where the fuck in 1986 do you get grenades in your LAPD office?
He got them from his friend Rambo.
Oh, that's what it is.
I don't have an answer for you. He's a guy who can get things. How did he get that machine gun? No one else in the movie has a machine gun. He's just carrying around in a case with him.
Yeah, and this is where he is putting together his special gun because he has his other gun that is fucking embossed with the Cobra logo. But yeah, in this scene, he is putting all of his guns together. Why didn't he do that beforehand? But anyway,
he needs to show off.
He needs to make all of these clacking sounds while she is trying to sleep in the same room. Like, he even says to her after she kind of is staring at him, asking why you can't sleep. Well, you're making all this fucking noise with your guns, man. What do you expect?
Snap, crunch, like all of this racket happening.
Seriously. But then she has these come hither eyes because apparently it is quite erotic to witness somebody putting together guns. And she says, why don't you come over here? You'll make me feel safe or whatever the fuck. I'm not going to hurt you or something. And he gets up and says, well, okay, I guess I won't get hurt by going over here. And I will say this is probably the worst. Of all of the action movies that actually have a sex scene in them, this is the worst one I've ever seen because nothing is actually shown.
No, there is no sex. If they had sex, they don't really allude to it. We know they kissed, but then it's the next morning and they're leaving the room. So it's not like we even get a get out of bed.
You don't even see him putting his clothes back on or her being naked at all.
No, he's sitting there like wide awake, keeping watch all night.
Yeah.
But you could at least show like a shoulder or something to imply she's naked.
Yeah, something to indicate that something happened. I even pointed out her makeup is still on and not must.
No, she looks fine. She looks like she just laid down and went to sleep because acting.
Well, you know what actually happened, Betsy? He stopped putting his guns together so she could finally fall asleep.
She had to distract him.
That was her plan. Get him away from the table and have him go look out the window.
She used her womanly wiles. She's a snake charmer. A snake charmer.
Oh my God. God damn it.
Cobra joke.
Betsy, I need to have ready for the next time you want to say something like that.
You will never be ready. You will never see my bad jokes coming.
All right. I don't think there's any other scenes that we really needed to talk about here, but there are some moments that I have to say, or at least some thoughts anyway. First of all, this is my hot take of the episode, okay? This movie is as much of a Christmas movie as Die Hard is.
I was going to say, this is a Christmas movie,
right? This is a fucking
right?
Christmas movie just because it happens in LA. There's no snow. There's no Santa Claus, but there is decorations everywhere. I don't care that, people don't really talk about the fact that it's Christmas time, except for the 1986 version of the Toys R Us commercial that is on TV when he's at his home.
And when he is in the store at the beginning, I think there's a lot of Christmas decorations.
Yeah, there's like stuff on the window saying, hey, happy holidays or whatever.
They establish it is Christmas time.
It is Christmas in LA, yes. Anyway, some other thoughts I had. Number one, I was getting the vibes anyway, of a movie that we didn't cover, but we watched just earlier this year for the Andrew Korn Show, the Revisionist Almanac, where we covered 1976 movies. One of the movies that we watched in preparation for that was the movie Assault on Precinct 13 from 1976.
Which is a John Carpenter joint.
Which, if you have seen the movie, I would say you would be getting all sorts of different vibes just from the intro sequence of the black background and red text.
And then the fact that there is this nameless, faceless gang just causing chaos.
Yes, exactly.
And not to mention the synth score throughout the movie.
Kinda, but John Carpenter does it a lot better.
Oh,
and
yes.
He is the one who composed that little ditty. Do yourself a favor, because we haven't had a chance to talk about Assault on Precinct 13, do yourself a favor, look up on YouTube the score from that movie, or at least the main theme from that movie. You will thank me later. But speaking of other movies, my last point that I needed to make here is I want a scary movie, quote unquote scary movie type movie, but it's called Listen Hotshot, in which they lampoon movies like this, where there's a hotshot cop going around and doing all sorts of weird shit.
So I think it kind of exists already. One is in the Naked Gun movies.
Yeah, I did have that thought.
He's not this kind of a cop.
No, he's not.
But it is lampooning those kinds of movies. He's the detective. And then the one that you know and you love, and it is Kung Fury.
Yes, exactly. Oh, man.
But
Any
nobody
opportunity that we have to talk about Kung Fury, we will do so.
But nobody has done it in that exact way. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, if you take the idea of scary movie where you take all of the concepts.
But they've done it so many times with other genres, scary movie, epic movie, probably some other ones that I can't think of right now.
Not another teen movie.
Yeah, that kind of style, but apply it to this and call it Listen Hotshot. Where there's like a fucking police chief dressing down the hotshot cop who is doing whatever. But
well, Trent, if there is any justice in the world, someday they will release Kung Fury 2. They will finally figure out their shit and give it to us. And maybe that will be the thing filling this void for you.
On that day, I am declaring world peace. Because everybody can just stop what they're doing and watch Kung Fury 2. But until then, Betsy, all we're left with is this fucking movie. So, I don't know, any other thoughts before we stop this thing?
I both loved this movie and I hated this movie, but also I loved this movie. So, if a Cobra poster were to show up in my house, I too would display it in my home.
Oh, Betsy, you shouldn't have said that because we already kind of have a movie poster motif going in this room that we are sitting in right now, where most of the posters that we have, of the movie posters we have a red tint to them.
Red and black?
Red and black.
Maybe.
Yep.
Just saying. Yep. He does look pretty cool in this movie. That is the thing I keep coming back to. This movie looks great at different times. It looks terrible at different times. It sounds amazing. Its acting is questionable. It's got high highs and low lows.
But the one thing you cannot dispute, Stallone looks fucking cool.
He looks very cool in this movie. So I get it. I totally get it.
I totally get it. I love this fucking movie.
I have known this poster for ages, for literal years. I know what this movie is going to be
and
based
honestly,
on the poster.
That's all you really need to see.
That's it.
Just
That's all
look
you
at the
need.
poster, you know what the movie is. And that just means it's a great poster. But anyway, all right. That's going to be the end of Cobra. If you guys would like to tell us what you thought about this movie, or you want to give us some other recommendations because I want to hear them, email those to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Just like our brand new emailer and new patron, Eddie, sent us just a couple of days ago, entitled Movie Recommendations. Saying, hello, my name is Eddie. I've been listening to your guys' podcast. I wanted to recommend a movie series, and I don't know where to go other than to email that. I wanted to recommend the new Planet of the Apes, Rise, Dawn, and War of the Apes, by Rupert Wyatt and Matt Reeves, who did the Pattinson Batman. And then he sent a follow-up immediately after that saying, wanted to send 2 more recommendations, Count of Monte Cristo and The Mask of Zorro.
We actually, after we got this email, talked about that because I have seen both of those movies, Count of Monte Cristo and The Mask of Zorro. I would love your take on those because I know you haven't seen either of them, but Count of Monte Cristo is your brother's favorite movie.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
So I know you're at least aware of it, and it's based on, classic literature.
Yep.
It's an iconic character. And Mask of Zorro, same thing. Like, it is spicy. I love The Mask of Zorro.
I've always wanted to see both of those movies. So
we may find a time.
I think we might have to come up with something for next year because I think this year is pretty well booked up. But I would love to do kind of a swashbuckling movie series because that sounds fun.
Our friends at Movie Friends actually did that last year, earlier this year.
Yeah, we might have to crib some of those stuff. But Planet of the Apes, have you seen any of them?
I have not seen any Planet of the Apes.
Wow.
The original series, the Tim Burton remake, or the new ones. And my understanding is the new ones are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
They keep making them, so they must be.
And people keep coming to see them.
I don't know about the last one. I feel like that one was maybe not as well received now that we're fully the apes have taken over.
Sure.
But the lead up to it.
I would absolutely want to see the Charlton Heston version
Yes.
first before we were to dive into anything else because I don't know if there's going to be any references in it. I don't know if there's any continuity in it. I don't know if there's any connection whatsoever.
Trent, I already tweeted this a few months ago, and I keep coming back to this stupid idea of doing like Monkey Man and then 12 Monkeys and then Planet of the Apes, because there's just going to be more monkeys.
It just keeps on multiplying after every movie we do.
And these are all movies we haven't watched, so it would work for us. So we'll see. There's always so many series that we would love to do. And thank you, Eddie, for sending us those, because we love hearing from people who can confirm, like, I love these movies. I think you would be interested, or I'd be interested in hearing what you think of them. It's just a matter of when are we going to do them? How are we going to cover them?
And I would love to keep on getting more recommendations, because the one thing that you guys don't really know about us is, number one, what movies we haven't seen outside of the podcast. I know we've already done over 360 episodes for this show, and we've done over 100 episodes over on Patreon. A lot of those we've already seen, but you guys have no idea what we've seen outside of all of our shows. So if you want to give us a recommendation, we're all ears. I love the idea of doing the Count of Monte Cristo and Mask of Zorro. I want to do that eventually. So keep the recommendations coming. But Betsy, you had something else to talk about here.
Yeah, we got a couple of messages on our Twitter and Instagram pages about two of our Decades movies. So the first one is from 2015 about Sicario. I don't know which of the individuals posted this, but there is a podcast that we interact with sometimes called Desert of the Real, and they posted about Sicario. Incredible movie that literally made me reflect about our government. It has a sort of twist where it forces the viewer to think instead of being shocked.
Yep.
Very well made, from one of the best, but I think the end climax left me a little disappointed.
Yeah, you're kind of feeling empty, like the Emily Blunt character kind of feels empty at the end of that movie. So I get where you're coming from here. I still think I like it, though.
And in that episode, you'll hear me talk about, I gotta think it over, maybe watch it again and see how it hits me on a second viewing.
Yeah, because you didn't really, you weren't reacting as well as I was to the movie.
I was catching up. I was catching up the whole time.
We kind of had to talk about it, which, hey, that just tells you that, guys, we sit down almost immediately after watching the movie to give you guys our reaction.
And not all of them are Cobra.
Yes.
All right, the other message we got was from another podcast called Real Movie Lovers about Sinners. Great episode, guys. I've watched Sinners 2 times in the theaters. I've never seen any movie 2 times in the theaters, so that's saying a lot.
Wow.
I loved listening to you guys explore it for the first time. There's so much more that you realize you missed on a second viewing, as with most movies. And then I'm going to skip ahead because there's some spoiler things in here that if you've not seen Sinners, I don't want to read to you.
Hey, you should go and watch Sinners. It's great. That's my spoiler. It's good.
So I'll jump ahead in the message. He ends, this movie is a 10 out of 10 for me, and if it doesn't at least get nominated, we riot at dawn.
We said as much.
And then he also touched on The Village, but this was sent before that episode came out. Also, I myself am an M. Night fan and apologist. Except for The Last Airbender, I can't defend that. I'll keep my thoughts about The Village to myself and wait until you release the episode before I share them. So we may have some further thoughts coming our way about The Village.
Hey, send them. We are all ears when it comes to feedback. If you have a contrarian opinion to us or the masses or whatever, we want to hear it. Email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. Of course, you can also go to our social media pages. All the links are in the episode description. Just click that link in bio thing. It'll give you a list of everything. Of course, included in there would be a link to go to our Patreon page, which is patreon.com/neverseenitpod. We've got 4 other weekly shows over there that come out every single Wednesday. But this month, Betsy, there are 5 Wednesdays in July. We announced it in our episode last week, but if you didn't listen to The Village, we're going to be covering Grindhouse.
We're going to be covering both movies with the interstitial stuff.
So it's basically going to be a very, very large version of Never Seen It over there. Come over to Patreon, get access to all that stuff for $5 a month. But with that, that's going to be the end of Cobra. I can't believe we finally fucking did Cobra, Betsy. But next week is a new month. Can you believe it? It's going to be August next Sunday. What are we going to be starting in August?
Well, Trent, if we can take a lesson away from Cobra, it's that violence is bad. So that's where I'm going to begin. And so in the month of August, we're going to be covering 5 movies that are about war. And in most cases, how it's bad.
Yeah.
So we're starting a new series called This Means War with our first movie that neither of us has seen, and it's kind of a big one. We're staying right around the time that Cobra was released because you and I are going to be watching Oliver Stone's movie, Platoon.
This Means War is the name of the next series. And Betsy, it's not just gonna be war movies in the classical sense. We're gonna throw in some weirder ones in here to keep things interesting. So come back in August for another episode of Never Seen It. Until then, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
We'll catch you in August. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.